My name is Ben Eden, and I am a writer and actor in a film called The Shrowdinger, and it's a sweet father-daughter story about a father who wants his daughter to enjoy camping with him, and a daughter who may or may not actually be there. We don't know yet, because there may have been a family tragedy. So it's a very both dramatic but also darkly funny story, because my kids love to roast me and any chance they get, and so that kind of attitude came through in the daughter character very easily, and it's just it's a fun but also a little tear-jerking type of story there. Getting to write that, and the kernel of that was Schrodinger's cat. For people who may not know what Schrodinger's cat is, it's a thought experiment from like the 50s, I think, about if there's a cat in a box, and until you open the box, you don't know if it's alive or dead, and so the Shrowdinger is an RV, and there may be somebody alive or dead inside the RV, and it's no coincidence that the main character, the female character's name is Kathy, aka Cat, and so that's really where the story started, but it became more of a more personal story as I started writing it, and my own kids' voices started coming through, and all the real life stuff, all the incidents that happen, the stories that are talked about in the story, in the film, are stuff that have happened for better or worse in my life, and I think it just makes it a more truer concept than just a fun thought experiment,
My dad and I, we had a tiff. He got so mad, he tossed me off a cliff.
No cliffs were involved.
This has got to be the worst guessing game ever.
When did you get a ukulele?
I've had one. I keep it in the car so I can use it at work when the little monsters need to shut up and focus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but you already knew that. You don't know why I know that? Because I wouldn't be standing here holding it right now if you hadn't seen me with it in the past.
You have a point.
Oh, I'm full of points. Want another one? Here you go. If a little part of you is annoyed at me right now, it's because that part of you wants me here annoying.
Maybe I deserve it.
That remains to be seen.
A few years ago is when I really jumped into community theater. Before that, I hadn't done anything since high school, so 25 years ago, that sort of thing, and getting to be a part of that, just, man, I loved it. You just immediately, I came home and told my wife, I found my people. These are good. It's just a fun group that just loves creating. And so after doing 4 or 5 plays over the course of a couple of years, you get to know all these people, and you get to where you really want to just do everything with them, and so I started working on writing some plays, hoping I could use my buddies and plays and stuff like that. And so I wrote a couple before I got to Shroudinger. Once I wrote that, we had a little table read of it, and it was very quickly became oh man, this would be easy to film. This was because it, again, so self-contained. Doesn't require a lot as far as different locations, and we actually added more locations for the film because the original play had just one location, really. So yeah, really the ball just got rolling, and it was very exciting to see how quickly it all came together. One of my theater buddies got me in touch with a lady who became our producer, Chelsea Dells, and she got her friend involved who actually works in the business. Brittany Miles she does like special effects for Fear the Walking Dead and some of the Yellowstone type series, and she let us borrow all her camera equipment, and we did a little fundraising campaign and got some boom mics and light kits and all that kind of thing, and it just took on a life of its own very quickly there, and so it's been very interesting. I kind of just think it's a small miracle that it ever got to happen, because I just feel like there were so many ways it should have fallen apart, and it just never did. It just, every time we came up against a wall, for instance, I had an RV that I was like, oh, we'll just use my RV. Well, my wife decided right around that time it was time to sell the RV because we were paying for storage on it, and she was just tired of doing that. And so we sold it, and I'm like, okay, now that I need the RV, how do I get an RV? Well, somebody came out of the woodwork and let us borrow their RV, and that, and the RV is literally the Shroudinger. That's what that's the name of the RV in the film. So it was very important to have that. So that came through, and one of my other friends let me brought a boat and let us ride around in it while we were filming for the lake scene and that kind of thing. And so just a lot of things came together there. It was really nice. Pretty much, yeah. No, I didn't even think about the short film aspect, which would have been way easier. But no, I'd written it to be a full play, and we did our due diligence as far as our director and Holly Bentia, who plays my daughter in it. I mean, we got together a dozen times on my back porch and just did rehearsals and really made sure we had the not only the script down, but kind of the character motivations and the beats, and because we wanted it to be a very good human story, and we didn't want to just jump in there and just film it as fast as we could. We wanted to do it right, and so we took our time with it, and looking back on it, it was such a good experience. I don't know, exhausting, totally exhausting, because I think there was a couple days there where we were filming from 6 a.m. till about 2 a.m. and just and we just went all day long, but man, those were some fun times. So it was good.
Just a little bit. You're getting covered by the car thing again. But yeah, that should do it. Oh, how romantic. What are you thinking on the lighting? I kind of like the half shadow on him right here.
I do like that on him.
Okay.
It's
groovy.
pretty.
Can you take a step, just like half a step inwards? Like that is perfect, yeah.
That's
cool.
good.
Yeah.
I think we went over 3 weekends because we were going to do, and again, this is the challenge of the biggest challenge of this was filming completely outside, and so we had all the weather issues and sound issues that come with that. And as nice as it was to have our person who let us borrow or use his land, it was also pretty close to a highway, so we had a lot of highway noise, and we got rained on. The first weekend we were going to film ended up being a total washout, literally, because the rain came through and totally turned. I mean, his whole back area was underwater, and so we had to give it a week or so to dry out again, and so that was the big challenge there. But really, once we got going, it was good. It was. I think we got stuck on trying to figure out how some of the equipment worked on the first morning, and then we hit the ground running after that once we got past that hurdle. So it was good. Yeah, that was in November last year. Okay. So and then we pretty much spent November weekends filming, and I spent the next several months after that just editing it all together myself, and kind of slowly taking my time on that, because there were a lot of takes of every to get through, and that was again a much bigger. If I'd known how big a task that I would have prepared for it a little better. But it was golly, it took us until April to really get it together, and part of that was the music. I was kind of the last element that needed to get put in there, and so we kind of had to wait for the musicians to do their thing. And I mean, between me and my producer, we found a couple different guys that really helped us on there, and gave us like a couple different pieces of music that really worked beautifully in the story, and so those were the last elements. And again, getting the sound, that was what took the longest, was just getting filtering out all the background noise and getting that to where you're focusing on the right thing during it. And I don't even know if we still could have done better than what we did, but for our first thing, I think it comes through pretty well. And by April, the end of April, we were pretty much done, and then May we had our first screening here in Abilene, just for all the people involved and everybody who donated to it and came out, and it was a nice big crowd, and we really had a good night. It was a lot of fun there. It just reaffirms your faith in humanity when you see how many people are rooting for you, and kind of going back to what I was saying about how people just come out of the woodwork and help you, like we had so many people like that, and so many crew members I can't wait to use again, and actors I wanted to use more, and that's why I want to just keep this rolling and keep making these films, because I think we've got such a good group in Abilene and the surrounding areas that you just want to give everybody their chance to shine and thank them for everything they've done for you, sort of thing. But it's fun. I think honestly for me the biggest issue was, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, is like you don't like watching yourself, and you kind of have to take pretend like that's somebody else on the screen there, so you can kind of take yourself out of it and just focus on the storytelling and the editing, and not the, oh God, what face am I making there, like that kind of thing, like you just had to remove your own ego from it completely there and just focus on compartmentalize when it's time to edit versus time to act and that kind of thing. So different hats. It was there, and I'm so glad we went through the rehearsal process for that, because I think that kind of taught us to we had to pull back some of our theater stuff there, and because theater is all about performing to a crowd, and you're pouring big, and you're making sure you're projecting and loud and all that sort of thing, and the reality is when you're filming, you don't want to be loud. You want it to be small and intimate and a little isolated, like you want to, and especially for this story, the whole story is a father and a daughter at a campsite, and they're away from the rest of the world, and you want to kind of feel that. So playing small is better, you want to keep the voices a little more contained, and small facial expressions work way better than the big theater expressions you would use, where you're trying to get across to a whole room of people what's going on. I actually really enjoy playing it that way, because it's so much more focused, and it's so much more intense in a way, but in a good way, like you're trying to get in just a couple of looks and emotions, a whole series of thoughts that aren't getting to be said, like out loud. There's a lot of in between the line stuff that the acting requires you to get out there, and so it's such a fun challenge. It really is. That is the goal. Yeah, it would be nice to get to that point where we're actually on a streamer or somewhere where people can watch it, and I'm wanting to do the film festival thing first and see where that takes us and see what contacts we get out of that, and hopefully film some funding for the next film, sort of thing. That would be nice. But I started talking recently to Film Hub, and they have a very interesting platform there as far as they kind of get your film together in a package, kind of to present to entice to different streamers, or they call it channels, but they really mean the streaming services, and then they take a small cut of whatever money you end up making off of any of those. So getting to be on any streamers at all would be amazing. So that would be we'll see what happens there. I'm going to keep talking to them and seeing what we can make happen. Again, all a learning curve for me, because it's the first time I've ever dealt with it, so I'm very interested to see where it goes, and if it ends up just being something on YouTube, then I guess that's what it'll be for our first time. I'll take it, but but if we do make it farther than that, man, that would be amazing. That would be so cool. So and again, it just the nice thing is now I've got a calling card. I've got something I can show to people that, hey, we put a full film together. You can look at it. For when we're getting ready on our next project, they know we're not just filming in our backyard and that sort of thing.
With your phone.
Yeah, with our phone, which is honestly what I thought I was going to end up doing. When we first started talking about filming, I was like, well, I can get some sort of gear to make my phone look, get the right lens on my phone, and we'll just do it. And thank God that didn't have to happen. Like, I actually got people involved who knew what they were doing, and yeah, it's just man, it's been an interesting ride. But I'm so interested to see where it goes next. I think the improvement part's just on our end, where I feel like it was a big learning curve. I don't know if I have a good answer for you on that one, because there are, of course, issues to filming in it. Like I said, our big one was on the lake, trying to film in that, and the city was so nice to us about that, and the actual filming I think we had a couple people try to show up and ready to go fishing on our pier that we were on, and that was kind of the. But other than that, it was. Once they saw what we were doing, they were happy to move on to a different pier and let us do our thing, and it wasn't any big deal there. So, honestly, the biggest issues it was freezing that day, and we were all just chattering our teeth in between takes and putting blankets over ourselves and that sort of thing. But no, I look forward to seeing how it works in future films, because I'm a little curious how, when we start getting more town locations instead of out in the country kind of thing. I'm sure that'll be a bigger issue, but I just haven't had to deal with it yet. So, I got so lucky. I got so lucky with it. And I mean, our director, Amanda Keith, I think she brought the perfect sensibility to this kind of story. Because like I said, it's about a father and daughter, and one of them's not really there, and so we're kind of dealing with the death situation and the basically two characters who drive each other crazy and still can't let each other go, kind of thing, and so.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. It's you find out pretty quickly in the story, that's the situation. But not to say there aren't some twists. There are some twists in it, but she, she's a therapist in her regular job, and she brought that kind of sensibility to it, and got. Our daughter character has lots of anxiety attacks, and not a lot of them, but there are some anxiety attack scenes in the story, and she knew how to make those realistic and take care of our actress to where she didn't feel like she was getting lost in that, because it's once you start hyperventilating, and I mean, it gets real easy to kind of let it overwhelm you, and so she knew exactly how to do that, did such a good job, and really did a good job of kind of bringing out the right questions for the actors to really think about. And I mean, as the person who wrote the script, I'm already like, well, I know everything. No, she brought out stuff I hadn't even thought about, and kind of made me look at it in a totally different light, and I so appreciated her. And Holly is the daughter, Holly Bentia, and she was just so good in it, and she I feel like I just had the cream of the crop when it came to who got to actually be there and working on it with us. And we had like 4 different cameramen, which was really way better than I had any right to expect. And several of them brought their own stuff. And one of the guys, Jorge Garcia, he's worked on some of the Yellowstone series too. And I just happened to meet him a week before we started filming, and told him about the project, and we got talking, and then he showed up on the first day we were filming, and just to see what it was like, what we were doing, and I guess to see how much we had our act together, and by the end of it he was like, oh, I'm going to bring this camera next time, and I'll help you with it. And he was there through the whole rest of it, helping us. He brought light kits, and he some different stuff too that totally made a difference in our whole production there, and so stuff like that just we got so lucky with it. We have had some, there were some bumps along the way for sure, but I mean, for the most part, for everybody being the first time doing this, I mean, gosh, I can't imagine it going better than what it did, so. I mean, like I said, we just didn't get much in our way as far as, when I talked to the city, their biggest question is if we had insurance. And once we cleared that hurdle, I mean, and even once I was like, I wasn't sure if we did have the right kind of insurance for what they wanted. So then we asked them, if we could get a little reprieve there, and I mean, she worked on it for us, the lady at the city, and immediately got back to us. And there was one other smaller town outside of Abilene that we had to get in touch with the county to film on a bridge, because we wanted to just kind of have an outdoor bridge scene, and it was handled in an email. It was just, they were very open and happy to do that. Now, when we filmed out there on the bridge, we had some neighbors who saw lights out in the middle of the night, because it was a nighttime scene, and they came out to see what we were doing. And once people see, oh, you're filming a movie, oh, cool, then they're so excited, and they just, it has, we didn't really get into any big problems. And I mean, I kind of feel like we should have had bigger problems than what we had during the filming. A couple of the scenes involve us being in a car talking while we're driving, kind of thing, and that presents its own challenges. Well, again, the guy who let us use his land had a brother who had a trailer who we could put the car on, and then we had the cameraman in the back of a truck while we were filming, and so we got to do all that, and again, it just came together. It just came together, and there are little details you don't think about until closer to time. You're like, oh crap, we need to get like a porta potty because we're filming outside, and we got a bunch of ladies here, can't have them out in the trees, so that kind of thing. But people brought their grills, and we had plenty of food made while we were doing it. It went really well. Honestly, I'd say the biggest thing to me that made all the difference in my whole experience was, if people ask how to get into this, is again community theater. Get involved. And you may think like, well, that's not the kind of thing I want to do. Well, the people you're gonna meet there are gonna end up being the people you want. It's been such a positive experience for me throughout the entire community theater experience, and I'm so thankful to everybody who let me be involved in their, in these projects, who let me, really sink my teeth into it, because not only did it help me as an actor, but it also, you see how other people operate, and you both on stage and behind the scenes, and as a writer too. I'm very glad I wrote this as a play first, because it forced me to think small, contained, and something that'll all be done in one location. And then if we get to switch it up, that's great, but you start from that place where you're not focusing on the action-y scenes or anything like that. You're focusing on the characters and the character building there, and what their issues are, and that's really what makes a good story anyway. I mean, everything else is icing on the cake, really. You want the foundation to a good story is good characters and good relatable experiences there. So I think getting to film in these smaller areas like Abilene and San Angelo, I think, is actually easier than trying to do a Austin or a New York, LA, whatever, because you don't have the red tape, and people are so much more willing to just let you do your thing, and just excited to be a part of it, kind of thing, So you get a lot of good attitude coming at you, and it makes a big difference. The whole film festival thing has been a big learning curve too. There, when we did our one screening we did for the film, we charged ticket prices, and that was just so we could get some money for all the film festival entrance fees. And so we've got like 50 film festivals we've entered, and there's still most of them we're still waiting to hear on. But so far we've gotten Holly Bentia got Best Actress in one of them. That was awesome. And then for the Seattle Indie Film Festival, we got Best Feature. So that was very cool. So, but as you and I have talked about, like the short film thing, like, oh my gosh, that's actually easier to get a short film in a lot of times, because they have so many more slots for short films than they do for a full feature-length film. So you're really competing against a lot of bigger studio-made stuff when you're trying to do a feature film, whereas they really are looking for the indie guy on the short film. So I'd love to do some short films, and I'd love to get involved with anybody else doing short films. So that would be a lot of fun to do, and that's part of the reason I told you, doing the horror film next. There are a lot of horror film festivals out there too, and I'm very excited to get into those, like get involved in some of those. So that would be very cool. So yeah, our next project that we want to do is called The Sundowner, and it's whereas Shroudinger was a very sweet father-daughter comedy drama, this one's a total horror, different take on it completely there, and it's set at a retirement home, so that has a whole different set of challenges. I'm very much looking forward to filming inside, getting away from all the outdoor noise, but finding our filming locations, it's going to take probably the next year before we're ready to film, and I could let you read the script, and as you quickly noticed, like, there's a lot of special effects in this, and that's going to be the big challenge on this one. And I'm very excited to take that challenge on, though. I think we can do it and find interesting ways of making it work, and those are the kind of problems that it's just fun to to sink your teeth into and figure out the best way around different issues there. But it's pretty much about a haunted room of a retirement home where everybody who gets put in this room ends up dying quickly, and what happens there. So I can't wait to see how it all comes together. We had our first table read so far, and everybody really enjoyed it, and it was a lot of positive comments afterwards, and you can tell when people are getting into the story when they start asking the questions of, little questions of, well, what happened to this guy later, and that kind of thing. And so it's always fun when you leave people wanting more, and that's the way you want to have a film. And I feel like we definitely have that with this. It's a solid script, I think. So we got something good to build on there. No, I think to me this is the logical next step, is to get involved with more film-based groups like Film San Angelo, and I'm just constantly curious of who's out there and what they know and how I can plug them into what project and what they could bring to it. And I can understand from being in that position before of they feeling like, oh, I know nothing. I bring nothing to this. Why am I'm just more looking to see what's going on out there. That's why I'm in these groups. I'm not actually getting involved. Get involved. It's so much fun. I mean, and even if you're just the boom mic holder, like you're getting to experience something that most people never get to experience. And I think there's so many interesting facets of filmmaking, whether visually, sound, lighting, locations. So much goes into it that beyond just the who's on screen sort of thing, that even if you don't know what you're doing, just showing up, you're gonna start learning a lot, and people will gladly use you just because you showed up and you showed a willingness to want to be involved. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to know everybody in Film San Angelo, and I hope I do make some good connections out of all this, because I'm already thinking for the next one, and the one after that, because there's going to be another one after that, hopefully, and we'll just keep this train rolling, and if people want to get involved, man, I so want you there. The last thing you ever want to experience is someone who you feel like you're twisting your arm to be interested, and so I can pretty much tell you anytime I've encountered that, I've quickly, just, okay, well, we'll go back to the people who I'd rather take somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing, who really wants to be here, and that makes all the difference, and then just the whole morale of the group and everything, and yeah, just help us figure out the problems, because a lot of us are in the same boat there. We're learning along with you, and I'm very new at this. I am very, I feel like this last year has been an amazing year of learning for me, but I've got a lot more to learn still, and so I need people to teach me, and I need, getting involved with other projects and other people's projects would be awesome. I would love to, hear about what else is going on out there, and jumping in and seeing how they do it, and so yes, I hope that this is something that as a whole region, San Angelo and Abilene and everything, we kind of start working together more and getting more involved with each other, because I just see good things happening there. Everybody's got ideas, and I think even at a writer standpoint, man, I want to collaborate with somebody and see, kind of write something with somebody and get some good story ideas going when it's not just me in a room by myself. Like it's a fun process, but it's also a very lonely process at times. And so yeah, I think there's just so many ways that people don't even realize they can contribute to stuff like this. I mean, just showing up is a huge. So I try to do it as Texan as possible. It's Shrowdinger. It's yeah. I mean, of course, it's based on Schrodinger's cat, but I want it to sound like, again, Texas all the way, and just Shrowdinger.